Hello, I'm Toycat and welcome back to our third channel flying video. So as you might already know, England is currently undergoing its third national lockdown, which means leaving the home outside of specific permitted reasons is currently technically illegal, and therefore you might think all airports and all flights must have 0 people on them, but of course people need to return home, people need to leave the country, perhaps permanently, and so every flight does have some people on them, and airports do have people. But what about domestically? People are of course entering and leaving the country every day, but what about domestic flights? No one must be on those because, again, who needs to travel in England? Except there are actually certain permitted reasons to be travelling right now, and as someone who is currently going to be using one of those to get home back to London, I think I'd show you not only what it looks like to fly in the age when no one's flying, but also what a domestic flight looks like inside of England. I'm not even entirely sure. It's going to be going via Heathrow Airport, one of the biggest international airports in the world, but I'm taking a domestic flight there, so how does that look? Will it be interesting? Who knows for sure, but all I know is that, I know I meant to have the whole angle of like, you know what, yeah, I'm an influencer and therefore things are sad, that things are not good right now, but I'm just so interested to show off the angle of what something like this looks like for anyone else who is, not experiencing it right now, which is indeed most people, and that's why it should probably be empty, but who knows for sure. I don't know until tomorrow at 8 AM when my flight actually is, so I'll see you there, I guess. It is early o'clock. It has been so long since I've been awake in a city at this time, which is maybe on me, but let's head to the airport. Manchester Airport. That's a blast too. I'm now at the airport and it's a little unfamiliar because I haven't been to Manchester Airport before, but it's very familiar because it's just a weird sequence of rooms that lead nowhere until suddenly I think you go into a basement and you found the right spot to be. Airports, am I right? So I just spent 40 minutes in line and I got, it's to the point where it's 20 minutes to the flight. I'm sure I'm going to miss it. They just hand me my boarding pass and say, yeah, go enjoy. That's nice. It's spooky seeing a space that should be for thousands of people with just me and one other guy. Oh, there's a little tunnel that allows you to skip what is usually duty-free. Kind of proving that it was unnecessary to begin with, but we'll leave that to the side for now. Okay, you know what? My expectation was it would look entirely normal, but my flight says it's closed and there is no one else here. I saw one other dude that went through security with me, and then one woman who went through security who was working there, and otherwise it's just me chilling alone in the airport. Can't say this is normal in any sense of the word. At least the newspapers aren't abandoned, but yeah, am I just going to be immediately rejected here? I really don't know. You know, honestly, I kind of enjoy this. I shouldn't. I know you meant to be the influencer, only traveling, only doing the bare minimum here, but I am fascinated by this empty airport. Like, I cannot tell you how interesting it is for me to walk through these dead corridors. Okay, I'm almost at my gate. I see it, it's coming up ahead. It says it's left a long time ago, and it's 20 minutes until it's there, but there are still people going on. Yes, I'm gonna make it today. Okay, it was a lie. I managed to make it here. We're all good. Never got on a closed flight before. Even better than that, it's one of these flights where we get to walk onto the plane. So basically, I just got the ideal boarding situation where I board exactly last. You know what, living the dream really is what I'm saying. Living the dream here at Manchester Airport. I was so sure this video was going to take a turn that I'm not even ready to fly. Am I the only one who's always shocked whenever they see how tall a plane actually is? Like, you expect it to be pretty low to the ground because, I mean, it's just a snake that flies, but it's a snake that flies with very tall wings, or very tall wheels, I guess. So when I boarded this plane, I got a personal protective pack, which is a plastic bag, which contains a blue plastic bag, and inside that blue plastic bag, there is some form of hand sanitizing wipe. So, so yeah, it goes without saying this is basically like every short-haul flight that BA does, but the interesting thing about being domestic is I go on here with just the driving license, which has some interesting ramifications on going to Heathrow, the big international airport where it's assumed you have a passport. I hope we find out what those are. Who knows if they're running because of this. But as you can see, it's a mostly normalishly filled flight. I guess other people just got there before me. And then between plane departures, there's just an emptiness in the airport because there's fewer of them. People always expect to see the airport that I saw, but I actually really only see that if you are between one of those big departures. There is still a semi-normal number of people in each plane because planes are expensive. Flying planes is even more expensive. So of course, people are only gonna, the planes are only gonna run if people are on them, or if the government's willing to state sponsor them in some cases like we've seen before. But in the case of a private airline like this, they're not gonna run flights that no one's getting on. That's not how they work. Even on a flight that is about half an hour of airtime, there is still food, surprisingly, and at least here in the front of the plane. I don't know if I mentioned that yet, actually. I got a £50 upgrade offer to business class, so I take it for the planes. But I'm here, and I've got myself some food in this brown bag, and it says, interestingly enough, as you can see, enjoy your menu. This is one of the bizarre, like, European languages to English mistakes that happens all the time, where menu is seen as meal there. So this is a meal, but they say enjoy your menu, like, you know, like, do you want a Big Mac menu? I don't know, it's bizarre to me. Maybe it's only bizarre to me, maybe I'm the only one who cares. But it bothers me a lot whenever I'm in Germany or anywhere else. And in case you're curious, there is a little handmade ham and cheese croissant. And a little chocolate muffin. And then there's a water bottle. You know, if it is really handmade, if it is actually good, you know, pretty useful. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure I need a fork, knife, and spoon, but it's a nice gesture. Yeah, 5 minutes into having food, the plane has to land, which makes sense, but it's also kind of funny in my opinion. It's a big muffin. And now I'm here at London Heathrow, about 35 minutes after taking off, which seems pretty good until you realise that, like, the airport on both ends makes it really about a 2-hour travel time. So it's like very slightly slower than the train, unless you specifically need to be at Heathrow or Manchester Airport. But still, let's see what this domestic connection situation is like. I was correct, there was a magic machine that took my photo, and now it knows that I am a domestic passenger amongst the hordes of international passengers here at the airport. It's actually pretty interesting because obviously everyone else here, if you're catching an international flight, you're going to have a passport, and so they can identify you easily. But if you're on a domestic flight, you don't need to have a passport. Indeed, I have just a driving license today, and even that is technically not required. So instead what they do is they take your picture and then they can tag you in the system, and so that way if you need to leave the airport, you're not like entering a country. It's a really interesting solution that I wish places like the United States would take on. Ooh, this is weird. So I go through a door, and like I said, now I'm just here in the international airport, despite being about to catch a domestic flight. That's a weird one, but such is life, I guess. And so now something even cooler is this giant airport. It has so many gates, so many planes. In fact, it's one of the busiest airports in the world. I think the busiest airport in the world that only has 2 runways. But now all of the planes which are domestic take place in this one little corridor that was right near where that exit was. So the airport seems to be built almost with these domestic connections in mind, despite the fact that they're very, very uncommon. Because how often are you going, for instance, there's a sign over there, but how often are you going from Manchester to Aberdeen via London? I mean, I guess it happens every day, maybe, you know, there aren't probably direct flights between those 2 cities, so it's your only choice if you need to be between Manchester Airport and Aberdeen and want to fly for some reason. Probably not the most efficient thing. Also, is my voice echoing? Is it that empty here? But as you can see, like, there's an Aberdeen flight, and you can see all the rest of these gates are dead empty. The pub, the Wetherspoons, are full places, not even just a normal pub. As you can see, you know, you could, it's actually, you know, I love it. It's slightly more expensive than normal Wetherspoons, but there is a Weatherspoons pub chilling in the airport, but it's closed because of governmental things right now. Yeah, I think I mentioned at the start of this video. Anyway, you can see when you look around, they're like, you know what, despite the, even though you take a still from this video and say airports are dead, nobody is in them, you just take a still from this video and be like, wow, airports are so busy. And the truth is, both things are true, right? There are fewer people than normal, but there's also less capacity than normal. Capacity in a lot of industries, where it can match demand, it tries to do so. And so, even though this isn't normal busy Heathrow, it's still busier than you probably imagine, unless you picture it like normal, in which case it's less. I know it's the most boring thing to explain how things actually are, because everyone loves the sensation. You're much more willing to share, like, wow, look how crazy this is. Because, when things look not like what you imagine, or, like you imagine, but to an extreme extent, that's crazy. You love that. That's insane. But when things look just about normal, give or take, it's not so exciting. And that's how rumors spread. You want to spread this story because we like stories, we like tales, we like exaggerated examples of things. But the truth is, that's not how the real world be. So yeah, here is my domestic flight experience. Would I recommend it? Actually, yeah, that was a maybe it's just less busy because the flight wasn't particularly full, and I don't imagine my next one will be either. But for what it's worth, super convenient airport connecting. I figured being a giant airport would be terrible for short haul flights, but Heathrow does a pretty decent job, all things considered. And maybe you find that interesting, or maybe what you find interesting is the lounge experience. Because despite all restaurants in the UK being closed right now, besides for takeaway in very specific circumstances, lounges are allowed to be open, which means if you think about it in a way, this is like the only remaining open restaurant in the whole of the UK. I actually don't know if there are other lounges and other airports open, but I think most lounges are closed. So you know what, let's stick with that claim and then just assume no one calls me out on it. See, that's the internet, right? Just say a thing, hope it's true. It's pretty bold if it is true. So let's just assume it is. And then, just like that, it arrives. I'm genuinely curious about this one. So after a little bit of breakfast slash lunch slash weird wine, I am back at the first class horse, and indeed an A380 model, and I'm gonna head back down these stairs to get to my flight. Are they really stairs? I guess it's an escalator. Aren't escalators just moving stairs when you think about it though? I mean, I guess they are, but also it's very different. Has to go without saying. Also, I always walk up escalators as I'm talking to a camera, just to create the illusion that I'm not really going anywhere. Heathrow Airport's an interesting place. There's a giant jelly bean, it looks like, over there. And so now I just head across the terminal to where my gates were before, and boom, I can catch my domestic flight. The real question though is, does that photo machine work? Like, I know it should, I know it must, I know they wouldn't put it in otherwise, but it just seems weird that they're going to use my photo as ID. That seems like a system that must be open to some more problem, but maybe it's not. We'll find out. So I did have to lower my face mask, but it did in fact work, and it's bizarre, and I knew it should have, and it shouldn't interest me. It should just be like, yes, water is wet, and machines that take your photo can in fact use it later, but it's fascinating to me. So I'll admit as easily as the next person that I do love going into places that should be busy when they're not. I love when there are no people in the places where, there's designed to be a lot of people, but also at the same time, a part of me doesn't like to see the travel world so empty. A part of me doesn't like to see an industry that's been so, I would say decimated, but decimated means you're losing 10%, so destroyed because of the kind of blaming which is laid on it, and the number of people who have lost their jobs as a result of it. I want to see a world where everything is magically back to normal, and obviously it's going to take a while. Some are more optimistic than others, but that's what this was an interesting time in history, but I hope it remains a small period in history and it doesn't stay any longer than it needs to be. Anyway, I hope you had a nice day. I'm kidding, I don't care. Have a nice one. Bye.